Hey everybody, I'm Peter, and they say I'm brave, compassionate, disciplined, and would make a great teacher. He's a bag of bones. It's Mike.
Sweet. Together, we are Rebels, the podcast where we explore the Star Wars expanded universe through an episode-by-episode deep dive through the animated series Star Wars Rebels.
Our guest today is the creator of the Wookiee Gunner, host of multiple podcasts, including Galactic Fashion, Team Kanan, Star Scavengers, and most importantly, Rebels Chat, which is an awesome show that she hosts with her mother. Johnamarie Macias, how you doing?
I'm good. This is so exciting. I love talking Rebels with other fans.
I thought you said, I know the other podcast is Team Kanan, but I thought you said Teen Kanan for a second. And I just imagined like a teen magazine where it was all about Kanan, and I got so excited.
That's amazing. I need that, like Rebel Beat, like something like that.
You should do like one of those
like 17, but for Kanan.
Yeah, you should do one of those like celebrity posters from the 90s of Kanan like laying on a bed.
I mean, which feels so appropriate because it's Freddie Prinze Jr. So it's totally there.
It has to be one with like a pool table, because I remember Leonardo DiCaprio had a poster like that when I was 17, and I was just like, oh man, this is it. This is gorgeous.
I think as you said that, I had a flashback to my sister's room where I was being told to leave. So before we get started, please subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app and leave us a review on iTunes. It helps a ton. Or so we've heard. And you can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at RebelsRebelsPod, or you can email the show at rebelsrebelspod@gmail.com to give us, I don't know, just compliments, and that's it. That's all you can email for.
Gold stars.
Gold stars. Yeah, just email me gold stars. Also, you can email us iTunes gift cards, Amazon gift cards, Outback Steakhouse gift cards.
Oh, recipes. I'd take those. Cool. Mike, you ready?
I am ready. Johnamarie, you ready?
I am super ready.
Well, that's
nice. We are on Season 1, Episode 4, Rise of the Old Masters.
Mm-hmm.
The rebel crew undergoes a rescue mission, only to face a powerful foe. I wonder who that is. We're on the Ghost for the first scene. They are doing some Jedi training on the top of the Ghost while it's in orbit.
Yeah.
And it's sick. I really like this shot.
I thought this scene was gorgeous. I remember having it as my Twitter header for the longest time.
Aww.
It's so nice. Kanan is saying, do or do not, there is no try, but he doesn't really know what it means.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I know what it means half the time. Half the stuff Yoda says, I don't know what it is that he's trying to tell me. Just tell me, Yoda. Yeah,
he's very old. It's like my grandpa. Sometimes you're just like, you don't know what he's talking about.
Just nod.
Yeah, you're like, okay, all right, cool.
I mean, I like that he at least admits he doesn't know. And of course, in this line, spoiler, will come full circle at the end.
I'm trying.
Do or do not. There is no try.
What does that even mean? How can I do something if I don't try to do it?
Well, see... Actually, that one always confused me too, but Master Yoda sure used to say it a lot.
I mean, I appreciate the honesty that he doesn't know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I feel like this is one of like the three biggest Star Wars lines that is like stitched on a pillow. And this is the one line.
Quick, what are the other two?
Probably I love you and I know.
Mm-hmm.
And may the force be with you. And then do or do not. I feel like those are the three big ones for some.
And now this is pod racing. That's one of them too.
Let's try spinning. That's a good move.
Oh man.
Maybe for Johnamarie, I'll ask you, how do you feel about this line being in there? Is it like jostling? Are you cool with it?
I actually thought it was a great callback to that line, and he tells Ezra to focus on letting go, but he's sort of jumping into this and not really easing Ezra in. He's, telling him to stand upside down on top of the ghost while midair. He gives him the lightsaber. It's like, Kanan, you gotta step back a bit.
Seriously.
So, he needs to not give him all this, big vague information like do or do not. There is no try. And Ezra's 14 years old at this point. He's like, what does that even mean?
I like that Kanan's just kind of figuring it out. Like, he'd never finished his trials. He's not really a Jedi. And he's just like, oh yeah, do or do not. There is no try. Like, super authoritative. And then he gets a question on it. He's like, actually, I never really understood what that means. Like, he doesn't really know what he's doing either. He's like a first year teacher. And so I like that. And it comes up in a lot of cool ways. He's just trying to figure it out.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah.
I will say I also enjoy how Zeb is he gets to sit in on these lessons, and Ezra is like super peeved about it, but then Kanan makes the argument like, well, there's always going to be distractions. But I still don't understand standing upside down. Like the handstand thing, it's thematically, it's
build those
consistent.
core muscles.
Yeah.
Well,
while focusing.
Yeah. And well, one of the things that I really like is like Zeb's like, oh, I thought this would be more entertaining. This Jedi stuff is boring. I'm like, how are you not entertained by a dude standing upside down on the top of a ship on one hand? Like, it's like some circus stuff. Like, that's awesome. And then he also burns him. He's like, no wonder your religion died. I'm like, wow, that's harsh, man.
I know. And when I was watching that a second time around, I thought, man, why would you tell that to Kanan, who went through the whole thing of trying to escape Order 66?
Oh.
And I thought, Zeb, man, that was a pretty callous.
I know.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Trigger warning for sure.
Zeb's like that friend who's like quote unquote joking, but then like always takes things too far. Later on, you see it too. Like he starts throwing those cartons at him and knocks him off the side of the ship.
Yeah.
It could have killed him.
That was, oh man, what? Yeah, that's the end of Rebels. We get to this episode and Ezra just falls. Yeah, that was
series finale.
Yeah, shortest series ever.
Yeah, yeah. I tried to do some research to find out what those like bottles are that they're throwing at Ezra when he's trying to deflect him with the lightsaber, and I couldn't figure out what it is. What do you think is in that bottle? It's like an empty bottle. It says it's garbage.
Blue milk.
I mean,
that makes sense.
That's the only thing there is in the universe. I guess.
That's the only liquid in the entire universe. Blue milk and swamp water.
Yeah. Because I also watched the Freemaker Adventures, and there's actually in the first episode you see the main character Rowan, who's also around. No, he's actually 12 in the show, and he's drinking from a blue milk carton, and that's what it was, and it looks exactly like the one that Chopper's just throwing at him.
Nice.
That seems like a waste. Then they're just throwing away their blue milk.
They're probably empty, right? I would hope so.
It's still littering, which I do not approve of.
Oh, that's true. They were littering all over
right? I know. And it hits a lothcat. It's like endangering the wildlife.
So funny. That was cute.
Really, they're no better than the Empire.
That's so true.
I love those darn lothcats.
So they start lightsaber training. This is another time where, as you mentioned, Kanan is in over his head and they're acting recklessly because Ezra just turns on the lightsaber and almost stabs Kanan in the face.
So I thought that was supposed to be, in a way, a kind of callback to the first time Luke turns on the lightsaber in Kenobi's house on Tatooine.
Totally.
Because he didn't know what this was and he just turned it on. And I feel like every time I see that happen, I'm like, oh my God, be careful. Like, I'm not a dad, but the dad side of me is like, please put that down. You don't know what you're doing. And I feel like this was supposed to be like kind of reminiscent of that and like a whoa, you almost like impaled your master. So quick note, is this the first time we see that lightsabers have an adjustable setting to your height?
It's gotta be.
Is this the first?
Yeah.
I
Because
think so. Yeah.
that's weird. I'm trying to figure out how your lightsaber knows how tall you are. Like, I know kyber crystals are somewhat sentient, right?
Yeah, I would say so.
Well, I mean, I just pictured it as like having like a small, medium, large button on the side. And you're
Okay.
just like, I want it extra long today. I wonder like how far it extends though. Like, could you make like a lightsaber javelin? Or like if there's like a Sith dude like running at you from across a football field, could you make it like 100 yards long and
Go
stab him?
Gotcha. I really like that. Maybe it's unique to Kanan's, because Kanan, the way he constructed his lightsaber, it's like he knew he needed it to be covert at some point in his life, so he was able to, take it apart in half and have the two pieces separate. So maybe he installed that feature himself.
Yeah, I really like that, because one of my minor gripes that keeps coming up is I don't get why his lightsaber's in two pieces. It seems very inefficient. If you're getting sneak attacked, like you have to put it together before you can defend yourself. But I really like that he has to keep it covert, like he's undercover, trying not to be noticed. If someone's like, "What's this?" it doesn't turn on or look like a lightsaber. It's just like looks like a piece of junk. I like that.
I'm gonna disagree with both of you and say that Kanan is way too cocky, and when he constructed his lightsaber was like, I'm gonna keep growing, like I'm gonna be pretty tall. Like,
yeah. I wonder if because we've mentioned Qui-Gon Jinn had a short lightsaber, so was that like a preference thing that he changed from day to day, or did he have this adjustable switch on there?
Qui-Gon?
Yeah.
No, I don't think so.
And Ahsoka has one short lightsaber?
Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, well, we'll keep pointing out the different lightsaber lengths as it goes through. Fascinating stuff. One thing I did think was interesting. So when Ezra falls, he gets force grabbed by Kanan, but like Ezra's like really far down by the time he went down. It was interesting to me how far away he could grab Ezra and just like lift him up. And
well, Darth Vader could choke people like across the galaxy. I mean,
yeah, but that's Darth Vader.
Yeah. But I mean, that was across the galaxy. He was like looking through a HoloNet feed and like, I'm going to choke that guy. He could like, he could choke people via Skype. So, like 40 feet doesn't seem too great. I mean, it's wild for Kanan because he finished his training as a Padawan. But,
yeah. Well, it makes me wonder why, like, when they approach the prison later in the episode and there's those two guards out there and they need to silently take him out, why doesn't Kanan just grab him from the ship from 100 feet away and throw him off the side?
I'm going to say because we see in this series that Kanan, the Force does have a physical toll on his body. So I think he does reserve it for the times where he actually needs it. Because we see him and Ezra getting tired or fainting even from using the Force to a certain degree. So
I like that.
I think maybe that.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the idea of him, because we know Kanan is a powerful being.
Yeah.
And I like that at this point in time, we're seeing hints of that. And this was definitely a hint that later on, he's going to be able to overpower the Grand Inquisitor and all these other characters that we see later on in the series. So yeah, you get these little morsels of him showing what he's capable of, but he definitely struggled in that towards the very end of that, trying to keep him up in the air.
Yeah.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah, because he totally did just like let go, and him letting go of Ezra. I don't know how much of that was like, I know he's in a good spot, or was like, oh, I give up. Like,
yeah.
Or like he was just drained. It might have been, honestly, he was just drained.
Yeah. Nice. Another thing I noticed is once he's back on the ship, he just starts yelling at him and be like, "You're not focused. You need to be more focused." And I'm like, it's nothing like yelling at someone to focus to make them focus.
Hurt people.
Yeah.
Hurt people.
It's like when you're in a fight with someone, you're like, "Calm down." It's like, that doesn't work.
Yeah, and that was an interesting line that he told Ezra. You're undisciplined and full of self-doubt. Like, that was actually, he's describing himself.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, totally.
Just yelling at the mirror.
Yeah. I actually saw like a behind the scenes thing with Freddie Prinze Jr. and what's his name? The guy who voices Ezra.
Taylor.
Taylor Gray.
Okay,
Taylor
cool.
Gray, yeah.
Sorry. I'll retake that to sound smart. I saw a behind the scenes thing with Taylor Gray, and he was talking about recording with Freddie Prinze Jr. And he said the first time they went in, Freddie Prinze Jr. was like, why don't you do it this way? Oh, why don't you try this? Blah, 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 blah. And people were watching like, you guys are just like Kanan and Ezra. Freddie Prinze Jr. kind of takes him under his wing and shows him how to do the biz.
Ew.
Right,
Yeah. So I thought that was kind of cute too.
Aw. I wish Freddie Prinze Jr. was my dad. Because he'd be all that.
I want to know all his dad jokes. Like, I just need
Oh
a
my
represent
gosh.
for those.
That'd be amazing.
Because he has an awesome like social media presence and personality. I feel like he seems very interesting.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, another thing that I really liked about Ezra, the whole scene of Ezra falling, was him sliding down the window and seeing Sabine.
Yeah.
And at this point, you know that he has a sort of a small crush on her.
Yeah.
And he's like trying to act cool, but he knows that he's not at this very moment.
Yeah. It's great. So they're back on the Ghost, and there's an Imperial transmission coming in on the HoloNet.
Ooh.
And Ezra and Zeb made the news.
You made the HoloNet.
The stolen TIE fighter was later used to attack a transport full of innocent workers.
You liar. We set him free.
This is Senator in Exile, Gold Travis. I bring more news the Empire doesn't want you to hear.
So from their previous exploits of stealing the TIE fighter, they say that some rebels stole a TIE fighter and then attacked like a transport with some innocent bystanders, which obviously is some propaganda spin job. But the transmission is hijacked by Gall Travis. And like, I was like, what's a Gall Travis? Who
I also like how he looks like a 70s porn star.
yeah.
I did not notice that.
Better,
But now that
better
I have
for
the
you.
image in my mind,
Yeah.
that's exactly what I'm going to see from now on.
Yeah, while we're listing things we like about him, I also like that he's voiced by Brett Spiner,
Yeah.
who is Data from Star Trek The Next Generation,
Yeah.
which I love because I go both ways.
What? Oh, it's between
Star Trek and Star Wars.
Yeah. I don't. I mean, maybe I will someday.
I am in that same boat too. I like Star Trek as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't get the like choose a camp thing.
No, I don't think it's choose a camp. I think, yeah. Well, I won't get into it.
Yeah,
I like
yeah.
Voyager. And that's all I'll say.
So Gall Travis says Luminara Unduli is a Jedi Master from the time of the Clone Wars.
That's not how he says it. It's like Illuminara Unduli. I don't know if that's even close to his voice, actually.
I love it. Please do it like that for the rest of your life.
All right.
So Luminara Unduli has been captured and is being held in the Stygian system.
One of the Republic's greatest peacekeepers, Jedi Master Luminara Unduli, is alive. She's been imprisoned unlawfully somewhere in the Stygian system. As citizens, we demand the Emperor produce Master Unduli and grant her a fair trial before the entire...
Marking another successful planetary liberation, utilizing the Base Delta Zero initiative.
This is news to Kanan, who knew Master Unduli, and he wants to launch a rescue mission.
Yeah.
One other quick thing I saw is after it cuts off and it goes back to the regular Imperial news, it says something about how a world was liberated by the Base Delta Zero initiative. And that's a throwback to Legends, which is kind of a little cheeky throwback because the Delta Zero initiative is a Imperial tactic that was first invented by the ancient Sith that involved total planetary bombardment to destroy every bit of life, resources, and droids on a planet. So basically in the Legends, if they did the base Delta Zero thing, they would just destroy everything on an entire planet, just bombard every inch of it. So to say that the planet was liberated by that is just kind of like a little throw into the Legends heads.
Do you really think though that it's that it's still the same in canon? Do you think that's what they meant?
Probably not. I think it's just like a little Easter egg for the people who liked the Legends.
Gotcha.
It would be interesting if, since they haven't perfected like the Death Star technology, if they were operating this secret plan before to just like surround a planet and kill everyone on it, even if they don't destroy the planet. But I don't really know if there's any any canon thing to back that up.
Yeah, I remember at the time I was freaking out because then I thought ahead. I'm like, oh man, that's how they're going to end season 1. They're going to try to tackle it all.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I like to think of it now as an Easter egg more than the actual thing, because it gives me comfort in knowing that that's not going to happen to Lothal at any point in the future.
Yeah,
they're not going to Jedi it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna use Jedi as a verb.
Yeah, we don't know yet. Who knows? So one of the reasons Kanan wants to get Luminara Unduli is that he feels ill-equipped to be a teacher for Ezra, and suggests multiple times, like, we get it, stop mentioning it, that she would be a better teacher for Ezra.
This Luminara, you knew her?
I met her. Once. She was a great Jedi Master. Brave, compassionate, disciplined. In fact, she'd make an excellent teacher for you.
And Ezra is bummed out by this because he feels like Kanan doesn't like him. And I like this part where like Ezra and Chopper are the only ones left. Everyone leaves. Yeah. And he's like, you hear that? Kanan just wants to pass me off on someone else. And Chopper's like, ah! Like, kind of sounds like he's laughing at him. He's like, yep, you suck. Bye.
He's such a little jerk.
He has so much attitude. It's amazing.
And this is super subtle, but just before that, Sabine, they have like the hollow chess table out there.
Oh, Britney Spears it.
Yeah, she totally like does like a cool girl jump and like slides across the front like she's a 70s cop sliding across the front of a car. Yeah. I bet she was like the girl in school like sat in chairs backwards.
Yeah. Oh yeah, she was definitely that girl. And she also does the Riker thing from Star Trek. Now I'm pulling Star Trek again. But he like pulls his leg up and like it's very weird how he goes about sitting in a chair. But yeah, I can imagine her doing that too.
Yeah, she's got a real Zach Morris Riker thing going on.
I think it's the second time we've talked about Zach Morris.
Yeah, he comes up a lot. So we're looking at plans for the Spire, which is a high-tech prison on Stygium Prime, and they're plotting their rescue mission. So the Spire is a prison that was mentioned in the Darth Maul Son of Dathomir comic series, which is a canon series based on
I love those comics.
Unreleased Clone Wars scripts. So this is a prison that once housed Darth Maul.
Mm-hmm.
That's so cool. And the fact that, Darth Maul comes up later on in the series, you're like, it's all connected. This is so good.
I know. I love it.
Is that in the have you guys read those comics? Is that where Darth Maul goes to track down that Padawan to defeat her?
No, that's a separate one.
Yeah, that's a different series.
Okay.
Yeah, this was one that came out like very early in the new EU. There were some old Clone Wars scripts that involved Darth Maul being in prison, and they scrapped it for the TV show, but they turned it into comics like kind of after the series went off.
Those ones, okay.
Yeah, they're pretty good. So their plan is they're going to go do a rescue mission. The details aren't that important, but the cool thing is they take the Phantom down. This is the first time we see the Phantom in the series. So they're taking the Phantom down. It's like a little attack ship that detaches from the main Ghost. And I have two questions about it. First of all, why would you want like a tiny, presumably not as strong or powerful ship to be your attack ship? And then secondly, just do you have general thoughts about the Phantom? Do you like it?
Well, it was more of a covert sort of mission that they were going on, so I don't see the Ghost having been a good thing to take with you. So yeah, the Phantom is small. It can escape very quickly and easily. I don't think it has a hyperdrive, so yeah, that is a mistake on their part, if in case they do need to leave out of the system very quickly. But yeah, I like the Phantom. I actually just recently bought the Lego set for a very expensive price on eBay because they're no longer in production.
That's amazing.
But it was so worth it.
Wait, is
That's
it
cool.
just the Phantom or is it the Phantom plus the Ghost?
No, it actually came. There was a 2-in-1 box, so I was happy that I got that one because I wanted the Ghost as well, and so the Ghost and the Phantom, and you can actually put the Ghost into the Phantom.
Oh my god, that's so freaking cool.
Right? I still need to get the second Phantom and see if that one fits. I'm not sure whether that one fits into the Ghost.
Holy crap,
That's cool.
I was at the same time. I feel like in defense of the Phantom, something that I like about it, and maybe not in using this.
I like the Phantom.
Oh,
so
no.
I mean, I'm not attacking anyone.
Oh no. Well, I also feel like something I was thinking about, like it doubles as an escape pod too, right? If your ship is, I mean, we haven't seen this happen because obviously the Ghost is still intact, but if the Ghost is going down, I mean, load up everyone into the Phantom and get out.
Yeah.
Which-
I just thought I like it. I just thought it was interesting when you read about it. It describes it as an attack vehicle. I think it is more. I think Johnnamarie's right. It's more of a covert.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that little rubber boat that like Navy SEALs use if they need to like get off their big carrier to do some covert Navy SEAL stuff. So I like that.
I did a quick Google search, and it turns out that the second Phantom does fit
Oh.
the Ghost.
Oh my god!
Wow, what a time to be alive.
If only I had the money.
Yeah. There's still a few other things that I want to get, like the ATDP and the Chopper. There's also a Chopper Ghost set that came out of San Diego Comic-Con, an exclusive from their 2014. So I really want to get that as well, but I need another year to save up for a purchase like that.
Yeah, I'm not really a collector, but I mean, I'm just kind of want to be an adult that makes Legos because it seems fun. And I want to do Star Wars Legos. So they go down on the Phantom, and Kanan jumps down and does some cool Kung Fu Kanan stuff because they have to be quiet and they don't want to use blasters. And then Ezra gets all cocky and jumps down before he's supposed to and smashes his head in the door and makes a big old commotion.
I love Kanan's. What just happened?
Yeah.
I kind of feel like that should have given him a concussion because that was a pretty big fall.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
Meanwhile, Hera is hanging out in the Phantom. She's kind of like attached to the side. She's how they're going to escape, and it has a jamming signal. So while she sees something on the radar, and she's like, oh my gosh, that we have incoming. And it turns out that this like flying manta ray called a Tibidi shows up.
R.I.P. Steve Irwin.
Oh, jeez. I was like, what are you? Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh my gosh, I was in college when that happened.
Yeah.
That's all I thought when I saw these things is, you bastards!
It turns out that whatever jamming signal Hera is using, presumably it's the sexy setting, is luring the Tibidi over because it mimics the Tibidi's mating call. Ooh, so she doesn't want to get the ship messed up or blow her cover, so she has to fly away and bring the Tibidi with her.
I'm guessing the jamming signal was called Sex Panther.
Sex Stingray. So here's a little behind the scenes tidbit. So the Tibidi's name comes from the fact that they couldn't figure out a name for it. So during production, they just called it a TBD.
That's so dumb.
As to be determined. And so they're like, well, no, let's just do Tibbity.
No.
I like that. I think it's fun.
Oh, no.
I love that.
Yeah.
You have a whole creative team who, like, you probably have 15 people sitting around,
You know what? We'll get to this in another episode, but there's a creature that comes up called a Frynock.
Yeah.
We're just lucky they didn't just call it like a
Fear knock.
Psynock.
This
They could have come up with a lot worse names, is my point.
Yeah, they could have. It is the Star Wars universe.
Yeah, it could have been a space whale. So be happy.
Space Whale rules. I love that one because it's unapologetically lazy. I love that.
Okay.
Nah, Space Whale. That one goes full circle and becomes awesome.
So they sneak into the prison, and it turns out that they were operating off of outdated schematics. So the plan is wonky, and they have to improvise on the spot. So Zeb and Sabine are told to hold the lift while Ezra and Kanan go to try to help Luminara and Dooley. And while they're going down on the lift, I like the awkward elevator scene.
His plan gets worse all the time.
Just hope he doesn't change it again.
I'm standing right here.
We know.
Yes, I'm standing right here.
It reminds me of Return of the Jedi, like, because I so badly want to know what Luke and Vader were talking about in the elevator on the way up. Like, was it silent or were they having a conversation?
Yeah.
Like, so how was the flight?
It also reminds me of like Revenge of the Sith, like where they're in the elevator and the droids are behind them, like, put your hands up, and then they just like turn around and chop off their heads. Part of me wishes like Kanan would be like, don't talk about me like that, and then just lightsabers them. Yeah. So Zeb and Sabine are holding the lift, and Ezra and Kanan go to the cell, and there's these two little stormtroopers, and Kanan Jedi mind tricks them, telling them that it's on another level, and they're like, yeah, it is on another level, and they leave the cell unprotected. Here's one thing I want to bring up. Maybe I just missed this. There's like these blue lines on the stormtrooper helmet. Have those always been there?
I didn't notice this.
Yeah, I looked up pictures from A New Hope. Well, yeah, Johnamarie, do you remember that? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I don't. I do know what you're talking about, but I actually never really focused on it too much. I mean, I like that they went with the Ralph McQuarrie design and sort of used that for the stormtroopers. So maybe that's where that came from. I
wonder if it's another Mandela effect thing. Because I looked back at the pictures in A New Hope, they have this blue line on their thing, but I've never noticed it before. Are you familiar with the Mandela effect, Johnamarie?
Yeah.
So what if we're in a parallel universe? We've talked about this on another episode, so I don't have to explain it. But what if we're in another parallel universe where stormtroopers had blue lines all the time, and then our universe didn't have blue lines and they merged?
So in A New Hope, those
fight the power.
So in A New Hope, those stripes are definitely there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And there's that great website that's just StarWarsHelmets.com. Creative with names, once again. Yeah. And that's telling me that all Stormtrooper helmets have 11 to 14 stripes.
All right, hit us up on Twitter, email us, let us know if you remembered these blue stripes as a child, or if we're in a parallel universe. And remember, everyone, the Death Star was an inside job.
I don't remember, so I think we are.
Yep, perfect. We've cracked that egg.
Oh man, my life. I don't know anything anymore.
Yep. So Luminara and Dooley is sitting in her cell, but something's not right. The hairs prick up on the back of Kanan's neck, and she glides into this box, which ends up being her sarcophagus, and she is actually dead.
Oh man.
Oh, so
that's so sad.
It is sad.
It looks like her corpse was really preserved well, though. There's something I want to point out.
It does.
It's super creepy for a kid's show. Like, I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, it is. That's why I like it.
Yeah, I want to ask you two, because I was pretty confused about this. I got an answer, but I want to see what you think. What exactly is going on right now? Like, how exactly does this trap work?
I think it was in an interview with a major outlet with Dave Filoni. He mentioned that it was the Grand Inquisitor himself who had executed Luminara. So when she's looking up at Kanan, she's actually looking up at the Grand Inquisitor at the time. And he never went into specifics on how it works, but in my mind, you go in, and then however this sarcophagus thing works, it probably sucks the life out of you. Maybe the air entirely, and then that's how you're perfectly preserved, because there's no oxygen, so your body doesn't decay the way it normally should.
Do you have any theories, Mike?
Theories about how
this works, how the projection works, all that stuff. I have the answer. I'm just curious what you think.
Well, okay, so it's a hologram, right?
Yeah, so that was what was confusing to me, is I didn't know, like, is this a force trick that, like, the Inquisitor is tricking them into seeing her, or what's going on there?
Well, because you only see, okay, I'm trying to remember, but you only see the ghost once you enter the cell, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's a hologram the whole time.
So, Johnamarie, I think you hit that part right. I think the bones, we know from the transmission, we see her being captured after Order 66 and brought to the prison, and she was executed in that room, and they just leave her bones in that room in a preserved state. So, like, her force essence is imbued in that specific room. So Jedi are attracted to that room. And then, so the projection is a hologram. So that's what I was confused by, because we generally don't see holograms that are that clear. Usually they're like that weird, blue, whatever. But Pablo Hidalgo said, and I checked it, there are, like in Clone Wars, there's a couple instances of super vibrant, super clear holograms. So it is just like a mix of the mystical and the tech. So they kind of, I guess, they recorded her being executed in that cell and just project a hologram of it. And then people come to check out the bones and then get trapped.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man. I remember I first saw this episode at a press screening here in New York City, and they had paired it up with the premiere. And when I saw that, I thought, I'm going to have to keep this a secret for the next 2 months.
Jeez.
Because it really like shocks you that they did this to her, and that they're using her bones. Like, I wish in like if the story had taken place in another form of media, like I wish they could have taken the bones with them so that they could, rest her and have her rest in peace, really.
This is so dark. Like, the more I think about it, the more I hear you guys talking about this, I'm like, man, that's such a dark ploy to, like, okay, we're going to execute this person, then keep their bones, and like... Yeah.
And an interesting thing, too, is in Legends, they established that she was killed in Order 66.
Yeah.
So, like, did the Emperor just be like, keep a couple of them alive for this trick? Or did she just happen to get captured instead of killed? I don't know.
Yeah. It sounds like something that the Grand Inquisitor was more involved with, since he's the Jedi hunter. So he has to come up with an interesting way to capture all these remnants that are running around the galaxy.
Yeah, totally. Another interesting thing that Pablo Hidalgo said is he kind of hinted, he wouldn't say, but since the Inquisitor isn't super strong in the Force, he hinted that other Force users might be aiding this trick. So I don't know what that means, but
Oh my gosh.
Okay, so I'm trying to remember, and Unduli during Order 66 was alongside Yoda on Kashyyyk, right?
Yes. She was fighting in that battle. I don't remember if she was literally standing next to Yoda.
Well,
during Order 66.
So she was there.
Yeah, I don't know if it ever actually says she was captured during Order 66. So I think maybe you're right. It might be like an Inquisitor thing. Like, she got away, and instead of killing her, the Inquisitor was like, I'll capture her. I have an idea.
Yeah.
Cool.
I wonder what Jedi have fallen in trying to rescue her. Well, who else has fallen for this trap?
That's a good point.
Oh.
Who else will? Because, I mean, Kanan made an effort to say that we should spread the word that that's not her. But at the same time, you can't really reach everyone. So who else in the future will fall to this trap?
Yeah, that's interesting. And it makes me, this is something I always wonder, is we know some of the main players that are alive during this time. Are there other Jedi that are still alive that have escaped Order 66?
Oh, I'm sure.
Obviously, they escaped because the Inquisitors wouldn't exist if some didn't exist. But how many have they hunted down so far? How many are still around?
True. I know Quinlan Voss is one, apparently, in a comic recently.
I didn't see that. That's interesting.
Oh. So that was nice.
I'm trying to remember who Darth Vader took the crystal from. Did you read that comic?
I didn't read that one.
Oh, it was cool.
Out on that,
There's this. Oh man! So the newest Vader series, I won't ruin it, but it kind of goes. It like begins directly after Revenge of the Sith. Like it starts immediately after he goes. No.
That's amazing.
And then it's like bam! Like that's where the comic starts. And I won't. You have to read it. I won't. And I won't give it away to listeners. But he has to track down a Jedi who survived 66 because how Sith get their kyber crystals is by killing another Jedi and taking their kyber crystals.
Ooh, that's cool.
So in essence, they kind of corrupt a kyber crystal, and that's why the kyber crystal turns red, because it's almost the kyber crystal bleeding. It's really interesting.
I didn't know that.
I've already given away too much, and so I'll stop, but check out these new Vader comics because they're cool.
That's cool.
I will. I didn't realize that. Oh man, that's fascinating.
Yeah, it's really wild.
So, as established, it's a trap. And the Grand Inquisitor comes out, and he says no reinforcements are coming. They're jamming all the signals out of the cell, and he corners Ezra and Kanan and pulls out his lightsaber.
No.
I am the Inquisitor. Welcome.
The reveal of his weird lightsaber that seems super doesn't seem useful at all. Like, when would you ever want that stupid spin setting? Like, I feel like you have to hold it so far away from you.
I actually didn't like this very much, but I saw an interview with Dave Filoni, and he said something that I thought was kind of interesting. He calls this the cheat mode lightsaber. Because
I had that controller for N64. It was great.
Yeah. So the reason they did it like this is because the Inquisitors aren't Sith.
Yeah.
They aren't classically trained. They're not as powerful as Darth Vader or something. So they're dark side users, obviously, and they have some control of the Force, but basically it's like a way for him to fake some of like Darth Maul's moves.
Ooh.
So like basically they like turn on this button. It's like, I'm Darth Maul now, but he's not really Darth Maul.
Yeah.
And I think that's a cool through line we'll see a lot is like both the Inquisitor and Kanan were never completely trained or not as powerful as their counterparts. So, they're both kind of faking it till they make it.
Yeah. Which again is coming up in I keep saying this, but in the new Vader comics, the current story is all about the Inquisitor. So that's.
Oh, yes. Yeah. I definitely had to catch up.
It's wild.
Me too. This lightsaber too was created on initial designs for the Force Unleashed video game.
Ooh,
which was a cool
that's
game.
Right.
Yeah, the best game ever.
Because Amy Beth Christensen had designed it.
Yep. And she worked on both the video game and this series. And I saw an interview with her. She's like, "Yeah, we need a lightsaber. Oh, I liked this one I made before, so I think that's kind of cool." So they fight. They do a little duel. And he mentions that Kanan relies on Form 3 to a ridiculous extent.
To a fault, yeah.
Yeah. And the thing that caught me about this is like, he was like, "How do you know this stuff?" And he goes, "The archives are quite complete." So like, he's kind of just like a book nerd. Like, he's like, he just spends time in the library like, "Ooh, I'm going to study Form 3.
Okay, yeah. And I'm bringing up the comics a lot right now, but this is the best thing that's happened in any comic so far ever. So spoiler alert. Again, in this new series that centers around the Inquisitor, Darth Vader, and my favorite Jedi of all, Jocasta Nu, the librarian. She goes back to the archives after Order 66 because she wants to ensure they're safe. She wants to go get this one holo card that has all the information so she can protect it for future Jedi. And while she's there, you see in the archives the Inquisitor just sitting at a desk with his feet on a table. Nerd. Reading archive books. Just tons and tons of books. So he's there going through troves of information. And then where the comic ends, the next one hasn't come out. Like Jocasta Nu like jumps down and is like, "Don't touch my books!" And I was like, "Holy crap! I love you so much." So yeah, no, he's totally. So it's canonical that he's totally all up in the archives.
That's great.
But and interesting. This is one of the first canonical mentions of. I don't know if it's the first of forms, because. I mean, unless you guys know otherwise, this is a pretty EU thing, old EU thing.
Yeah, I don't recall it coming up in any of the new material, and when I heard it, I thought, yeah, I don't know what that is, but it sounds cool.
Yeah,
because I'm not all that familiar with the EU, all that. So and I was just thought, yeah, and I really want them to dive into the stuff a little bit more.
I remember. So back when I was in college, this was like a real college. It wasn't like a nerd college or anything like that. They had all the different clubs.
And it wasn't Hogwarts.
Unfortunately, it wasn't Hogwarts. But they had a bunch of clubs, and one of the clubs was Lightsaber Club, and you would go to a field and have lightsabers that you created, and they would teach you all the forms, and you would like stand in a field and do drills on like I use form 4 and like learn all
Who uses form 4? What an idiot. Oh my god,
it was amazing. I never did it, but I would go out and watch them every once in a while. It was so cool.
Oh man, I want that. I want to create a lightsaber club.
So so I want to dive into the other forms later, but Form 3 specifically I thought I'd talk about here, because this is what, and if you've read the Kanan comics, which are another terrific series, actually one of my favorite comic series that Marvel's come out with is the Kanan series.
Yeah.
You see him learning Form 3 from his master, Depa Billaba, and Form 3, which is called Sorisu, in each form has like a formal name and then like a more casual name, or like this one is called the Way of the Mynock. Why would you want to be like a Mynock? But it
sucks.
I know, dumb. But it was developed to defend against blasters specifically. So it's kind of ironic that Depa Billaba didn't survive Order 66. Burn. So it is characterized by a tight, efficient movements that shield the Jedi's body, using the lightsaber primarily as a defensive weapon to deflect blaster bolts. And the practice of Form 3 is an important reflection of Jedi philosophy, because it emphasizes the Jedi belief in calmness and non-aggression, kind of for defense only, right? And so they're using Form 3. It has someone who's doing it has to center themselves in the Force to anticipate opponents' movements and successfully block blaster fire. And some notable practitioners are Obi-Wan, Luke, Kanan, and Depa Billaba.
Interesting.
So that's what Form 3 is all about.
Cool.
So Ezra blows up. He distracts the Inquisitor and blows the door off of the cell, and they make a run for it. This is kind of interesting because they're making a run for it, and the Inquisitor is like super swaggy, like scary walking down, and it legit is creepy. Like, this is so like he walks out of like the smoke from the blast and just slowly, like super murder like movie villain, walks down, and it's creepy.
Yeah, it was totally Terminator.
Oh,
with
yeah.
The kid running away, and then you have the bad guy just walking.
Yeah.
What's funny is I feel like if he would have run, he would have caught them, though, because they emerge from the cell, and then like less than a second away, he like slowly walks out.
Yeah.
I'm like, if he were running, could get them.
Yeah.
He knows it's a cool moment, which is why he was, absorbing it.
He's like,
Seriously.
Cameras are on.
And so he disarms Kanan and kind of knocks him down, and then faces Ezra, is telling him he has power, but it's untapped because he needs to know about the dark side. And he's like, never heard of it.
Are you paying attention, boy? The Jedi are dead.
But there is another path. The dark side.
Never heard of it.
Have you taught him nothing?
Which I think is kind of a cool thing because it shows like Ezra just hasn't covered it. It's more of that fake it till you make it. Like it's like he's like, oh yeah, the dark side. I should have probably mentioned that at a certain point. And so this is the first time Ezra's even heard of the dark side. And then he's like, fine, you're gonna die if you're not gonna join me. And then this goes back to Kanan using his force powers and getting kind of pooped. I like this. He pins the Inquisitor to the ceiling in a really cool way.
Yeah.
That allows him to escape, but he can't hold it. So he's like, because it just drains his energy, and eventually he drops the Inquisitor. They meet up with Zeb and Sabine. And
quick note about the Inquisitor's face, because there's a close-up of him in one of these shots. And I think he's like super intimidating, super cool looking until I noticed that his two front teeth, his buck teeth, are longer than all his other teeth. And it made him look super Bugs Bunny to me. And like was a little silly. And I'm like, make those all straight. Like he doesn't need buck teeth. I was like, I don't know what the use is of that. And I don't know.
I've never noticed that.
Yeah, and when you see it, you can't unsee it, and he'll never be intimidating again.
I'm looking up a picture.
Buck teeth. Buck.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
One thing with when Kanan was holding him up against the ceiling, when he told Ezra to run, it kind of reminded me of Depa telling Kanan to run when he was younger.
I like that.
Yeah, that was a cool moment when I hadn't thought of it at the time, because at the time those comics weren't around. So in rewatching it, I thought, oh man, that's just like what happened in the comics. So sad.
Oh.
Always running Forrest over there.
Yeah, I like that. So they're escaping. They meet up with Zeb and Sabine, and they find out that their exit plan is screwed. So they say we need to go outside. We have to go to the landing platform, which they originally thought was impossible. So they're running toward the landing platform. I'm going to point this out every time I see it. Again, for some reason, this is a jail, but they don't have very many people guarding the jail. Like if the Empire would just like staff it 25% more, maybe they wouldn't have people breaking out all the time.
Yeah, they're all relocating to the Death Star.
Yeah, maybe. But the door is this big, heavy door for the landing platform, and it is locked down. They can't hack it. They can't open with the open button. So Ezra and Kanan need to lift the bay door using the Force or the power of friendship. Either one.
The power of friendship. That's where the real magic happens.
Teamwork and friendship open that door. So they're reaching out and they're being pursued, but they get it open. And they get underneath.
But it didn't suck out any of their energy in doing it, because they were focusing on
love.
They were focusing on love. Whereas later on, when we see Ezra do the same with Maul, he's actually focusing on his anger, and it makes him, and he's exhausted at the end of it.
I like that.
Because that's not his natural way. Personally, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and I think probably Kanan's learning a little something now too, because we've pointed out all these times where he gets drained using his power, but now that he's learned about the power of friendship, he can do all things.
It was love that saved you, Harry.
So they're running out, they get through the door, and they're still being pursued, and Hera says she's coming to get him, and she's bringing the fleet. And so Hera swoops in, followed by a fleet of horny Tibbities.
That's right, they are.
Yeah. And so they do some stuff. I'm not really sure how they help that much, but they did cause a distraction and attack all these people.
Do you think all the noises that they're making, the Tibbities, all the noises probably would roughly translate to like, hey girl, yo girl, what's up? Hey girl, girl, what's up, girl? Hey girl, hey, yo girl, what's up?
That's so true. Yeah.
Yeah, I like how it's just like, I guess Hera is just like, attack the stormtroopers. Like, yeah, girl, okay, sure, yeah, whatever for you.
Yeah,
whatever.
baby. Yeah, we got you,
I'll
baby.
take care of that for you.
Yeah, you're good.
So Hera comes in and swoops him up, and there's a really cool thing right here where The Inquisitor throws his lightsaber as like a death frisbee. And
I love the
Kanan-
froth. He's like, I love the froth.
Yeah. And then Kanan just like last second force senses it, uses his lightsaber to knock it away. I thought that was a really cool thing. And then they get on and they get away, and the Inquisitor is left with nothing.
Yes, he's quite angry at this point.
Yep. We're back on Lothal, and Kanan and Ezra have a heart-to-heart. It turns out, after experiencing the power of love and friendship, Kanan now understands there is no try, only do.
Beautiful.
I'm not going to try to teach you anymore. If all I do is try, that means I don't truly believe I can succeed. So from now on, I will teach you. Look, I may fail, you may fail, but there is no try.
I understand, Master.
Yep. So it has come
That's
full
beautiful.
circle, as you mentioned.
Yeah, it does. It comes full circle. Yeah.
And then they have that father and son throwing moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to talk about fathers and sons in the Star Wars universe.
Oh, this is true. This is true.
Sets a dangerous precedent. One of them is going to kill the other.
Oh,
Yeah,
gosh.
they do. You're
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
You're totally right, though. They're like playing catch on the lawn. Like I can hear CCR playing in the background and like a beer popping open.
Cool. So that is the end of the episode. Do you have any final thoughts about the episode?
Buck teeth.
It tugged on my heartstrings a bit when Kanan thought that Ezra being stuck with him was somehow bad for him, because to Kanan, you know, he wanted the kid to have a better education, really, at the end of the day. And I like that even though Kanan barely knows him at this point, he still wants the best for Ezra. So
Totally. Yeah, and I think it was a cool dynamic how Ezra feels shunned, but really it has nothing to do with Ezra. Kanan just feels inadequate and wants the best for him. So I thought that was kind of a cool, complex character development moment. Cool. So how we wrap up every episode is we judge every episode on a totally subjective scale. So it's completely up to you, but we grade it on, in your opinion, the worst thing in Star Wars and then the best thing in Star Wars. So, Mike, do you want to give an example?
Yeah, so my scale goes like this. On a scale of C-3PO was created by Anakin Skywalker to Luke standing on Tatooine staring into the binary sunset as John Williams' binary sunset theme plays, which is so magical, I would rate this episode as a Space Jimmy Smits appears in Rogue One from the shadows, which is like I like how it connects to the larger universe, that I'm seeing someone I do like, as controversial as that is, but maybe isn't, that prominent, that being Luminara Unduli. And I think it's some good fanfare. It's like not hitting you over the head, but connecting in I don't know.
It's not R2-D2 and C-3PO and Rogue One.
No, it's not Dr. Evazan and Ponda Baba going like, "Rah," which I'm like, oh God, come on. So that grade for me translates into like this is like a solid B. This, or maybe I'll say a B plus. Like, okay, I like it. It's so far in the series, this is my favorite episode. This is what the fourth episode so far. I think this is the best one. Like, we're really getting into it, but I can see that it feels like it's a building episode. Like we're building towards something, and so it's getting me excited, and I think it's doing a good job. Yeah, cool.
So my scale is on a scale of Jar Jar Binks being farted on by an Eope and going Piusa, to Luke and Darth Vader's super cool, moody death lightsaber duel in Return of the Jedi. I give this Rey and Kylo Ren fighting in the snow, which is pretty much an A+. It's like one of my favorite lightsaber fights in all of Star Wars. And it shares a lot with this episode. So it has great action and mythology and world building and character development, which are all the things that I love in Star Wars. So I like how this, like, it really builds, like you were saying, Mike. I really love how it connects. And this is, I'm going to say this is maybe my favorite episode in the first season.
Wow.
I really love this one.
Mine isn't as exciting as you.
Well, it's okay. We're professionals. We do this.
we get paid for this.
So my grade. So this is controversial here. This first part. On a scale of Han Solo's I know,
which is the low end. All right,
that's blasphemy.
To Purgle entering hyperspace.
Wow.
No, that's way better than either of ours.
Grading system.
It's way better.
This episode is like Ezra getting his first kyber crystal for me. Ooh. So that translates to an A.
Nice.
Wow.
Nice. I like that.
Is it Porgs entering hyperspace?
Purgles.
Oh
gosh, porgs.
I thought for a second I heard porgs. I thought you were taking this from the trailer. That was a porg screaming at hyperspace going, ah! And I was like, holy shit, that's really cool. I hadn't thought about that.
No, purgles.
Oh, God.
Sick. Awesome.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the I know. I never really found it attractive. I never found it to be a romantic moment.
I know. It's not romantic to me either. I mean, if anything, if someone said to me, I'd be like, screw you. Like, what are you talking? I just put my heart on the line. Like, really?
I also like how that could have been his last words. He's like, all right, I got to really make it count because I might die in this thing. And he's like, I know.
Yeah, I never thought about it like that.
Oh, yeah, no.
I'd be so bummed if those were my wife's last words to me. I'd be like, really? No?
Well, thank you very much. This was really, really fun. Can you tell the people where you can be found online and elsewhere?
Yeah. Tell all the porgs out there.
Yes, the porgs. I am. You can find me at Blue Jaig Eyes on Twitter, and that's blue, the color blue, and then JAIG,
nice.
And the word eyes. And you can also find me on the WookieeGunner.com, and that's Wookiee with 2 E's because I keep finding people spelling it with 1 E.
Yeah,
noobs.
Check out her podcast; they're really great. Say hello to your mother for us.
I will.
And thank you so much for being there.
Thank you guys for
thanks for being here.
Alrighty,
awesome.
Thanks. Bye.
Okay. All right. Well, it's that time of the episode again where we do some deep dives.
Yeah.
All right. Today, we are going to be doing a little character portrait on Depa Billaba. Is that okay?
Yes.
You sound hesitant.
I never hesitate.
Okay, let's go. Depa Billaba is a human who was born on Chalacta. Now, okay. Yeah, okay. So, Chalacta is a planet which has no interesting or notable history. Couldn't find anything. It's pretty boring.
Like Canada.
It's, but Pablo Hidalgo had to clarify in a tweet early on that Chalactan is a culture and a heritage, and that Billaba is biologically human, not biologically Chalactian. I don't know. Like, it was like a thing for like some people are like, oh, Depa Billaba, but she is, she's not human. And I don't know. I guess it was a thing. I don't know. I always just assumed she was human. So
it's kind of like, so Han Solo's technically Corellian.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's a human.
Yeah.
Okay. That makes sense.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I don't know why it doesn't make sense to some people.
Like Padme is a Nabian.
Yeah. Colonialism, guys. It just, okay. And so she became a member of the Order at a young age, where she was trained by, any guesses who she was trained by?
Jocasta knew.
Mace Windu is her was her master.
Dexter Jetster.
No.
Darth Vader.
Yes. Billaba was later appointed to the council alongside her former teacher, Mace Windu. You can see her she first appears in The Phantom Menace when Qui-Gon is like presenting Anakin to the council. You can also see her at Qui-Gon's funeral. She's also in Attack of the Clones at the council, but she didn't have to come back to the set for that. They just like archive footage, which kind of sucks for her.
I wonder if she gets paid for that.
I don't know, because it was already filmed. I bet not.
Huh.
It's like archived footage. So she had a sister named Sar Laboda, and Laboda first appeared in Attack of the Clones. Okay, so in my research of her sister, I came across, this is on Wikipedia, some really strange phraseology that I still don't quite understand. So I'm just going to read this to you as is, and I want to see if you understand what's happening. Mm-hmm. So, okay, Sayre Laboda is Depa Bilaba's sister. They don't share the same last name, so I guess step-parent. The character was originally intended to be Depa Billaba. However, the actress used to replace Bilaba's portrayer, Depa O'Neil Joti, looked too similar to Billaba. This led to the creation of Laboda as a separate character. I don't know.
I'm having a hard time following.
I sat down for so long trying to figure out what they meant. Something happened during filming, and they're like, I still actually don't understand.
See, I could see the other way around happening, where they were originally two characters, but they look too similar, so they just said, we just need one character. I can't think of a circumstance where
they're too similar, so make them
like two separate sisters. Like, was it one, like, maybe it's like a Darth Maul kind of thing where Ray Park was originally just going to train and be like a stunt guy. Maybe there was like the actress who was playing Depa Billaba and then the stunt person for Depa Billaba, and they just liked them both, so they put them both in the movie.
No idea, but somehow something on set created a sister for Depa Billaba.
Sister.
So as a child, Billaba was held as a captive by not just pirates, but space pirates who killed her parents. She was rescued by Mace Windu, all right, a member of the Order, and he brought her into the Order. Billaba became his Padawan and trained until she was a master. So Depa Bilaba's stories, we've talked about it a little bit, but it's really cool in the comics, and I won't go too deep into the comics, but basically during the Clone Wars, she took on Caleb Doom as her Padawan learner, Kanan. And after the conquest of Kilar, the two were attacked by Bilaba's battalion of clone troopers after the execution of Order 66. So Billaba basically sacrifices herself and allows Kanan, or at that time Caleb, to run away and go into hiding. But a little bit behind the scenes, Depa Billaba was based on early design of a Jedi Council member for The Phantom Menace and had a, quote, spiritually inspired design. Which I'm like, is that problematic? Like, is that racist, even if it's like semi-positive or like culturally reductive?
Judging from the prequels,
yeah, I guess it fits perfectly.
Like spiritual inspired design, quote unquote, is probably just means like Asian-y.
Yeah,
George Lucas is probably just like, make it Asian-y. It's like, we can't say that.
I don't know, make them like Indian or. So Billaba was portrayed by the actress Depa O'Neil Joti in The Phantom Menace, and so besides this movie that she's in, she was in 5 episodes of a unaired TV show that I could not find for the life of me called Gimme 6.
What?
Yeah, let me talk about Gimme 6. It's a show about an old abandoned theater in London where 6 kids uncover some old magic and discover the power of teamwork.
Oh.
I can't find that show anywhere. So basically, Phantom Menace is the only thing she's ever in, ever.
I thought that was a Star Wars show that never aired. I was very confused.
Just some weird show. And it makes me wonder how she got cast in this, because it's very odd. I don't know. I mean, she's a background character, so she could have just been walking down the street. Yeah, so Billaba, like I said, she was the focus of a lot of now non-canon Star Wars Legends stories, and these stories were included in this book Shatterpoint, which I'd never read, but it reveals that she was the former Padawan of Mace Windu, which they brought into canon, and then chronicled her fall to the dark side of the Force. Ooh. So some elements of her backstory, such as her species homeworld and tutelage under Mace Windu, have now become official. She did appear quite a bit, just in reference in The New Dawn, where Kanan talks about her. Yeah, and so that's Depa Billaba.
Nice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Sure.
Hey, Mike. Can I ask you a little question?
Probably.
What happened
Hold
after...
on. Do you want to do this off air? Oh, it's for the show. Start again.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What happened after Order 66?
Order 67?
Boom. I was really hoping you'd say that.
Is that a setup?
Yeah, I was like, oh my God, I hope he says Order 67. I hope he says over. So I was interested in seeing kind of the aftermath of Order 66, the known survivors, and just who might out be there. So
sure.
I am going to avoid specific spoilers to Rebels.
Yeah.
So there's a couple characters that I may leave out or be a little sly about. Okay. So Order 66, as we know, was the culmination of the Sith Master Darth Sheev Sidious's plan to overthrow the Jedi Order and institute Sith rule over the galaxy.
Sure.
So about 10 years before the Clone Wars, Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, who was gifted with the power of foresight, saw a coming war and the destruction of the Jedi Order. So he freaked out. He didn't know how it was going to happen, but he was worried. So he argued to the Jedi Order and the Senate that they should bless the creation of an army, but they said, no way, Jose, and they kicked him off the Jedi Council. So that answers one question for me, because they mention in Attack of the Clones that the clone army was ordered by Jedi Master Sifo Dyas, and I never really knew, was that like a pseudonym, or was that some secret thing that Sidious was doing? It was unrelated to the Sith plan.
And you've never seen the Clone Wars episodes where they really flesh that out?
Well, yeah, I meant like when I first saw it in theaters. Okay. I was confused by it. So what ended up happening was Sifo Dyas pretended to have permission of the Senate and enlisted the cloners of Camino. Wait. The cloners of Camino.
There it is. Camino Saber Dart.
To create a secret clone army, which inadvertently set the destruction of the Jedi Order into motion.
Are you going to talk about why Sifo Dyas is named Sifo Dyas? Backstory?
No.
That's interesting.
Yeah, you can.
Well, it was a typo that George Lucas liked, because originally it was going to be a pseudonym for Sidious, so it was going to be Sido-Dyas, so Sidious, and someone typed in Sifo Dyas, and he was like, "Oh, actually, I'd like it being someone else. Let's go with that."
That actually is better too, because that would be so stupid. If you're like, I'm an evil mastermind, but I want to leave clues.
Yeah. So there you
go. So this set him into the sights of the Sith. And so Darth Sidious and his apprentice Darth Tyrannus convinced the Kaminoans to install a biochip into the clones to ensure compliance and obedience. So Sifo Dyas ordered the army. Unknown to him, Sidious had this chip put into their heads. And so the Kaminoans thought it was just to help them follow orders, but really it had the secret Order 66 protocol, which upon its execution caused the clone troopers to turn on their Jedi leaders and kill them. Very few Jedi survived the initial attack, and Sidious's new apprentice, Darth Vader, accompanied the 501st and stormed the Jedi Temple, killing all Jedi survivors, including the younglings. That was another thing I learned that I thought was funny, is that the 501st Legion is the one that stormed the Jedi Temple.
That's why all those people joined that stupid group.
Oh, I love the 501st.
Oh, whatever.
Oh my gosh. Oh, so you hate sick kids. I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I like that the 501st is like, for those that don't know, they're a charity group. It's really cool.
I didn't know it was a charity.
Yeah, I know. Someone has egg on their face.
Yep.
So they're like a charity group that makes these really cool and intricate stormtrooper armor designs, and they're really, really good. They look right out of the movie, and they like visit children's hospitals and do events to raise money for, you know, things like sick kids who Mike doesn't care about.
Oh, no, I love it. Now they're trying to revitalize me young ones.
I know. So I like, in my head canon, like they're the 501st from the movies, and they're trying to like,
hey guys, super sorry about that.
Repent for killing all the younglings in the temple.
How long do clones live?
So they have accelerated aging.
Yeah. I
read that it's around, they age at about 3 times as fast.
Okay, so maybe 30.
Yeah. So, I mean, I might be wrong about that. That's just off my head. But, so it's estimated that less than 100 Jedi survived Order 66.
Yeah.
And it marked the beginning of the Great Jedi Purge, which stretched on for years and would claim the lives of almost all remaining Jedi. Yeah. So 100 Jedi, that's about 1% of all Jedi survived. So here's a quick list of Jedi who we know survived in canon as of today. So, well, we will know or presume. So Ahsoka Tano, we don't know yet. She left the Jedi Order before completing her training, and her whereabouts are currently unknown. There's a book about her where you can kind of learn about what happened after she left, but we'll leave that up in the air. Caleb Doom / Kanan Jarrus survived, as we just talked about, after Depa Billaba died protecting him.
Mm-hmm.
Jocasta Nu, the chief librarian of the Jedi Archives, although the exact way she survived is a mystery. She did survive and went into hiding with a friend of hers named Gar. And while hiding, she recorded a library of holocrons in the hope of preserving the knowledge of the Jedi Order and establishing a new Jedi school. There's a couple new Jedi that were just introduced.
Yeah.
Chandra.
Yeah.
Chandra is a female human Jedi who went into hiding on a Jedi shrine on Anoat, accompanied with 3 other Jedi. I'm going alphabetically, by the way.
Okay. I can't wait. There's one I'm really excited for you to get to.
Karak.
Yep. That's my man.
Infilla.
Yeah, this guy's bad. Do you know his story?
Yeah. Well, so I know he took a vow of solitude.
Yeah,
which forbade him from interacting with the Jedi Order.
Look how cool he is.
Yeah, he's really cool. The thing that's interesting is, so he's gray with gray eyes and like this big red scar across his chest, but he's a human.
He's so buff.
So he's a human with gray skin. I don't know, but he's pretty dope.
And also, well, do you know? And yeah, that's who Vader kills to get his kyber crystal from.
Yeah. So he missed Order 66 because he took this vow of solitude. So he's off on his own, not fighting in the Clone Wars, and Vader tracked him down. And
it's called the Barash vow.
Cool. Knight is a former Jedi Temple Guard who became disaffected with the Jedi Order after the false accusation and hunt for former Padawan Ahsoka Tano.
Yeah.
He ultimately fell to the dark side and managed to avoid harm during Order 66 by complying with the Empire. Luminara Unduli, we learn her ultimate fate in this episode, but she served alongside Yoda on Kashyyyk and was presumed dead, but was actually captured and executed by the Grand Inquisitor much later. Mususuil, I think that's right, is a female Jedi who also hid in the Jedi Shrine on Anoat. Nuhj, Nuhj, is a Nikto Jedi who also escaped and hid in the Jedi Shrine on Anoat. Obi-Wan Kenobi was shot down by Commander Cody.
Sure he was.
And his troops on Utapau, but was able to survive, and he escaped on General Grievous's ship.
Utapau.
He reunited with Yoda and hunted his former Padawan Anakin Skywalker who had fallen to the dark side. After mistakenly thinking he had killed Skywalker, he brought Skywalker's son to Tatooine and spent the better part of his life watching the young Skywalker from a distance. Quinlan Voss is a male Kefar, Jedi Master. Details are unknown, but his name is listed among presumed survivors of Order 66 that was compiled by Sheev and given to Vader. Uvel, this one's kind of on shaky ground canonically, but in an episode of Star Wars Insider, Alexander Freed, who's an author and wrote a bunch of Star Wars stuff and worked for Dark Horse Comics, confirmed that a male Jedi Master named Uvel survived with a bunch of Jedi artifacts and hid on an abandoned Geonosian colony on a nameless moon.
Wow.
Yoda led the Republic's war effort on Kashyyyk, but avoided death by sensing danger and cutting the head off of some treasonous clones. It was cool. With the help of Chewbacca and Tarful, Yoda escaped the planet, met up with Obi-Wan Kenobi. They successfully disabled a trap set to lure Jedi to the temple, but Yoda faced Darth Sheev in a duel and was unable to defeat him and went into hiding on Dagobah. Last but not least, maybe least, Zubaran Enoroki is a male Zabrak, which is the same species as Maul, who escaped and hid on a Jedi shrine on Anoat. There are 5 other identified former Jedi Knights that we may meet toward the end of Rebels, so I will not talk about them now. The clone troopers who executed the order, though, were decommissioned and replaced by human stormtroopers, although a small number of clones were able to discover the implant and disable it, allowing them to disobey.
That was a cool.
Order
Yeah, that was a cool.
66.
Cool episode of Clone Wars.
Yeah, it was cool.
Got like freaking out. It was like, that's in my head. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome, Peter. Well, thank you for that. It was insightful, if not hell of fucking boring. I was just kidding. That was really good.
Oh my gosh. You're so mean to me.
Thank you to Johnamarie for being here.
Super fun. I recently heard some sad news that she is going to be stepping away from a bunch of her podcasts, but she will still be doing the Rebels chat with her mother, which is so charming.
Yeah, it's a bit
so check her out on Twitter and Instagram and all the other stuff by searching the Wookiee Gunner. Thanks again.
Yeah, and until next time, be brave out there and don't look back. Don't look back.
Bye-bye.
See ya.